Authors with a really great quote from Jenny Offill. The beautiful thing about writing is that it's not about the competition. There are no rules, no bosses, no authorities. All you need is your imagination and the willingness to take risks. I love that quote. I love that quote because courage is such an essential part of writing your book, especially writing your first book. Because with your first book, there's just so many unknowns. So many unknowns. And courage is the one tool, the one muscle, the one skill, if you will, that will help you get you through all of them. So my name is Christopher Diarmani. Welcome. It is my pleasure. It is my passion to empower aspiring Christian nonfiction writers just like you. So you can share the story of how God led you from tragedy, from trauma to triumph. Because now that you're on the other side of all of that, now you know you want to make the impact you were born to make. And you know that writing a book is the way that's going to help you do that. So welcome today. You bring something extraordinary to your book, no matter who you are, no matter how many other people are writing on the same topic. Remember this, if nothing else from today, you bring your imagination to it. You bring your passion to it. And more than anything else, you bring your unique perspective to it. This is why I talk about repeatedly that if you don't write your book, you're doing your readers a massive disservice. Yourself as well, but more so to them. Because you're keeping them trapped in all that tragedy and despair and all that stuff that you found a way out of. And all because you're afraid to actually share your story. Sharing your story is the most powerful thing you can possibly do. And the hook to that idea is that there are people out there who will have heard what you're going to say, 100 different times, 1,000 different times, 1,000 different ways. But it's never stuck because it's never hit them right between the eyes in the way that only you can do. There's a way that you have with your subject matter that is the words that they need to hear in the way they need to hear it. Otherwise, they'll continue hearing similar things that get close to the mark but never quite hit it, and they will never get out of the misery that they're in. You hold the key to their future in your hands. Actually, you hold it right here in your brain. So get those words out on paper. Do it. Not only will you feel fantastic about this once it's done, just imagine all of the people whose lives you will transform by this one simple act of daily perseverance on your part. It's until you've written and published a book, and even after you've done it like 50 times like I have, I'm continually surprised by the responses I get from people who come across my work. It's a gift that never stops giving, and I want that gift for you. So give yourself permission to experiment. Give yourself permission to try all kinds of really crazy things that seem insane on their surface, and yet they may hold the keys to the phrasing that you absolutely need to resonate with your reader. You don't know until you try all kinds of different things, because that's part of the writing process, experimenting, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, seeing what you're comfortable with, and seeing what you're not comfortable with, and yet you know you need to do. Getting out of your comfort zone, huge deal, huge deal. But through this whole process, also give yourself permission to fail. Failure is not something that can be avoided. It's guaranteed. There's going to be a day where you're not going to hit your word count for the day. Even though you sat down with, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to stay here until I write my 2,000 words for the day or my 500 words for the day or whatever your number is, and you won't do it. On that day, that will be a mini failure. Give yourself permission to have those days. Because here's the thing about giving yourself permission to fail. Once it's okay, once you give yourself that permission, you don't fail. You don't need to anymore. It's this weird paradox of the human brain, and yet it does require permission. So give yourself that permission to fail and just see if that doesn't shift a whole bunch of interesting things in your brain. I bet it will. And give yourself permission to succeed as well. That permission to succeed is so very important because so many of us are terrified of success. We shouldn't be. It's the thing we long for, and yet it's also the thing that seems to hold us back, to terrify us into inaction, which is insane, truly insane. So these permissions, giving yourself these three specific permissions, it may sound silly, it may sound insane, it may sound absurd. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. Because if you're like me, you'll discover that giving yourself these permissions, will allow you, it will actually set you free. It'll allow you to do the things that you didn't know you were capable of before. It will also allow you to write with joy and with courage and with gratitude and with compassion and with love and with all the things that are required to pour into your book, so that when your ideal reader picks it up and grabs a hold of it, they go, wow, I can't believe someone else went through this too. Because in that moment, you will hook them and they will read everything you ever write from that moment forward. And that's how you develop raving fans, by digging deep, giving yourself these permissions so that you can do the deep internal work that will show up, will reflect off that page and into someone else's heart. That's the point of all of this. And courage, of course, is absolutely required. On some days, you'll need a great big bucket of it. On other days, you'll need a Mack truck full of it. And some days you won't need any at all because it's just so easy. All of that stuff is awaiting for you, but apply that courage to every single aspect of your writing journey. Be courageous. Be fearless. Write from your heart. It's terrifying to do that. I get that. I've been there, I've done that, and I've cried over the pages. But when you do, you touch people in a way that you simply can't reach any other way. So when you do this, when you're courageous, when you're fearless, when you are willing to dig deep and expose all of you on the page, you're writing with authenticity. You're writing in a way that your reader simply knows in their gut, that you know who they are, what they've been through, all of the pain, and that you have the solution. Excuse me. Your ideal reader can feel that in their heart, in their gut. And when you have your reader feeling that in that way, they'll read, like I said, they will read everything you ever write. They will buy whatever your course is, they will do whatever it is that you do, because they want that same thing in their life. That's why you want to write the book. It's why you want to make the impact, right? Yeah. Your heart, it's unique. The way you express things is unique. So is your message. So is your message. Embrace that. That's your power. Comparing yourself to someone else, comparing yourself and your writing, the notes say, comparing yourself and your writing to someone else, that's the road to strand yourself forever on Someday Island. Well, someday I'll write a book when, fill in the blank with whatever your personal excuse of the day is. When I can write like so-and-so does, when I can have the same courage as so-and-so does, like whatever the excuse that you have is today, understand that it is just that. It's an excuse that's stopping you from doing the one thing you know you were born to do, and that is to write and publish your story in a way that will help others who have been through the same thing have that same successful healing journey that you've been on. It's why you want to write the book. But it does require that you push yourself out of your comfort zone. You know, that really wonderful place where the TV always has your favorite show on it, your beverage of choice is always cold and in the fridge, or whatever it is, and your favorite food is always there. For me, that would be a great big bag full of sour cream and onion potato chips, and it would be always full. There'd always be a big tub of sour cream right beside it as well, because you can never have too much sour cream, right? Step out of your comfort zone. Ditch the bag of chips, ditch the sour cream that goes with it, and courageously sit down and write every single day until your book is finished. There is nothing else that is more important at this point in your life than getting that done. Yes, it's a risk to expose your deepest, darkest secrets and your pain and all the tragedy you've been through and all the trauma you've been through. Yeah, that stuff's terrifying. And yet, without doing that, you will never, ever reap the reward that you know that you want. Your book will never do the one thing that you want it to do, and that is to literally save one other person's life. You need to do the work. You have to do the work in here before you can do the work out here. It's how it is. The beauty of the writing life, of course, is that you can write your book any way you want. You can do this any way you want, so long as you apply courage, so long as you apply willingness, so long as you apply diligence, so long as you sit down and write whether you feel like it or not. As long as you do those things, you can write your book any way you want, because those are the simple essentials that will get the job done. These are the things that will help you cross that finish line of publication highway so that your book can launch into the world and perform the magic that it was created to perform. That's it. That's all I've got today. So I would love for you to connect with me on social media, authorcoach.click/Christopher. All the links to all my social media accounts are there, and there's also a couple of other free things that you may find interesting. So with that thought, just grab onto your imagination, grab onto your willingness, and don't let go. Just do that, please. And with that, have a fantastic